We've had a few days to digest the news of the suspension of the NBA season, and in today's video, I'll talk to you about what's next. Hey everybody, this is Troy. Thanks for tuning in today on the Half Court Report. Happy to see you again today. Got a lot to talk about, especially with everything that's going on with the coronavirus. So before we get started, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And I've also got that Twitter feed that you can follow me on, Half Court Report. Trying to get 100 subscriptions on this channel by the end of the month. And also want to give a big shout out to Nicholas G for being a big fan of the channel. What's up, Nick? Nick G. If anybody else watching would like a shout out, make sure you let me know in the comments and I'll do it in my next video. So for today's video, we're going to talk about what this NBA lockdown means for the players, for the fans, and really for the rest of the season. So if you watched my other coronavirus video on this channel, thank you so much. I was the first NBA YouTuber that I noticed that was even doing videos on the coronavirus. So this is the place you need to come to if you want updates on that or anything else NBA related. This is really something that is impacting, of course, not just the NBA, but the entire world to a degree that is even much more serious than the NBA. But since this is an NBA channel, that is the focus of what this video is going to be about. But just remember, there are much more far-reaching and more serious impacts than just a delayed NBA season. So we're going to start with the letter that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver released on Thursday night. So I'm going to link to that letter in the description of this video, so if you haven't seen the letter, you can read it there. It was a very short letter, only 4 paragraphs, and a few main points from that letter I want to get into right now just to make sure that we're all on the same page with everything. The first thing that I noticed, he mentions that the NBA shutdown will last for at least 30 days, and we intend to resume the season if and when it becomes safe for everybody that's involved. So if we look at the date and what would be 30 days out, that would be what would have been the last week of the regular season, the week of April 13th. So we are going to get some delays just right off the bat. So for instance, if we're 2 weeks from now, things are starting to look a little better, then it wouldn't surprise me if the NBA says something like, okay, teams need to prepare to start coming back. We're going to shorten the season by, maybe 5 games or so, and then playoffs may last a week or 2 longer. But I would be shocked if the season starts back up again within a month. I think we're looking at closer to 60, possibly even 90 days. That would have us playing ball all the way through August, or at least a good portion of August. And that means, okay, next season is going to start later, most likely. What does that mean? What does that mean for the Olympics? We'll get into that more in a minute. But we have to remember, we just don't know when COVID-19, the coronavirus, is going to peak here. So that's what's really making things tricky. That's what's making things difficult to predict, and that's what's really delaying things. So that's why we have to take it day by day. Think of it like when you hear a player is injured and he's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, reevaluated 3 weeks. Well, I think what the NBA is saying is they're going to reevaluate where the season is in 30 days. We have to keep in mind that this is a global pandemic. This is something that none of us watching have ever seen in our lifetimes. I mean, some would argue this is bigger than a terrorist attack, or this is bigger than a hurricane or a natural disaster. It just impacts so many people, so many facets of our daily life that we don't even think about, things that we don't even know about yet that are going to be impacted. And we may not even know those things for months down the road. So there's really no roadmap for dealing with something of this magnitude. The next thing that I want to look at is an article by John Hollinger. So a little background on John Hollinger. He used to work for ESPN. He invented PER, player efficiency rating, which each player has next to their stats on ESPN now. He then went on to work for the Memphis Grizzlies front office for a few years, and now he's back writing full-time for The Athletic, which is an online basketball publication, and he also does a podcast too. So I have followed John Hollinger for a long time. I really respect what he has to say. I respect his insight. I think he's a really good basketball mind, and I wanted to kind of go through a couple things that he laid out and kind of tie all this together. So he wrote about some questions on his latest article about what does all this mean, and we're going to go through a couple of those. First thing he talks about is player contracts, because you've got, as this pandemic is going on, you've got players who are signed to 10-day contracts, or their contracts just expired or will expire. You've got G League players who were more than likely, in a lot of cases, promised that they were going to get their 45 days of NBA time on that main roster. You have that going on. Then you have regular contracts too that have incentives, but also contracts that are set to expire at a certain time this year. So we are in uncharted territory. It is worth mentioning there's language in the collective bargaining agreement that specifically addresses pandemics and just epidemics like this. I don't think this is going to be a time when owners are going to want to play hardball if something with a contract isn't going to be met because of what's going on. I think players who were going to be paid will be paid. I think if a G Leaguer who was going to get paid for their NBA time and didn't fulfill all of his NBA days, I think he's going to get that if that was something that was previously agreed upon. Same with 10-day contracts. I think the same goes for players who are on their way to getting certain incentives in their contract. A lot of players have it where if you play X number of games, then you get this extra amount of money. So I think if a player was on his way to playing those games, he'll get that money. So yeah, I think it's going to get worked out with the respective teams. And of course, you get more into the weeds when you talk about how these contracts will need to be amended if the games go far into the summer or into the fall. And that's just going to be a mess all around. Another thing that Hollinger mentions is arena availability and just how long this season is going to go on. I think if it goes on for much past that 30-day period, they won't even do a regular season. I think an option would be to just give the teams who are the number 1 and number 2 seed a first-round bye, and then maybe give the seedings of the 3-6 matchup and the 4-5 matchup, maybe do a best-of-5 between the two. That would get things moving along a little faster. I think day games are a great idea. Hollinger mentions this, and I agree with him on that. Day games are a great idea. All of these games could be played in a neutral site to minimize as much travel as possible, also to get the season just moving along quickly. Finally, you have things like player free agency. You have things like the draft. You have things like Summer League. All of these things are going to be impacted in one way or another. And I think a lot of these things will get pushed back or shortened. The draft, maybe not so much, because I think conceivably you could still be having the draft going on while the playoffs are happening. But for things like Summer League, yeah, I think that's going to be shortened. For things like free agency, I think that's going to get butted up a lot closer to the start of the next season, whenever that may be. You have the Olympics this year, which I mentioned earlier. I would be shocked. If the Olympics are still set to go by this summer. I think ultimately those are just going to be pushed back a year. And that impacts the NBA because you have players on NBA teams who are going to be playing for the U.S. Olympic team. So you have so many spinning plates in the air that you have to take care of for a situation like this. I would love to hear what you think about this topic. Go ahead and comment down below. Also, if you like the NBA, if you like videos like this, please do consider subscribing to this channel. That would help me out so much. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the month, so I would love if that could happen. I'm going to continue to post all the time, not only about this topic, but other NBA-related topics, even while the shutdown is going on, and then once the shutdown is over, I'm going to have a lot of topics for then as well. So once more, my name is Troy. This has been the Half Court Report, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, one more thing. Here's some more videos to check out on the Half Court Report channel. I hope you like them, and thanks for watching.